today we are going to learn a new concept that is called Introduction to JSP. And the following concepts I am discussing, that is what is meant by JSP, Java server pages, and then JSP page translation and processing phases. So how many phases are there in a JSP page, and then how JSP works, and a JSP architecture. Let's see an introduction of JSP. Actually, it is a technology that helps software developers to create dynamically generated web pages. So it's based on HTML or XML or other document types. Okay, so it is actually JSP server-side programming language, which it is used to develop dynamic web applications. And JSP separates content generation from content presentation. So here, if you consider like HTML, which it is displays an information like whatever the content it is there, it will display. And by using CSS, you can apply good look and feel standards like that content presentation. Okay. But whereas here, by using JSP, you can able to generate the content. You can get reports as based on the queries. Okay, so it is a separate JSP separates content generation from a content presentation, and it is released in 1999 by Sun Microsystems. And JSP is similar to the Java programming language. And to deploy and run a JSP, a compatible web server that is with a servlet container such as Apache Tomcat or a Jetty JETTY is required. Okay, so normally all software developers, they can execute Apache Tomcat server as a basic and default web server for the servlet container. Okay, so let's see what a servlet is. A server-side Java program, and it solves scalability issue. And like solve scalability issue, nothing but a servlets will run on threads of execution, not separate process. And solve a portability issue, means it runs on every platform that supports Java, and almost all popular web servers it supported. Okay, the issue is simple. The problem, what is the main problem in a servlets? So here the HTML tags are embedded in Java programs within out.println statements, so which reduces flexibility of the programming. So this is the main problem. To overcome this problem, JSP is introduced, which it is a server-side technology, and it can separate the dynamic content from static content. Here JavaScriptlets embedded into HTML page. Okay, and which it separates the work of Java programmers and page designers. Okay, so here actually the pages, the JSP pages are easier to maintain than the servlets, and JSP pages are opposite of servlets, as a servlet adds HTML code inside Java code, while JSP adds Java code inside HTML using JSP tags. Okay, this is the main point you have to remember. And JSP enables us to write HTML pages containing tags inside which we can include powerful Java programs. Okay, and in the end, a JSP becomes a servlet. A JSP pages are converted into servlet by the web container. The container translates a JSP page into servlet class, that is .java file, and then compiles into Java servlet class. So here is one flow of how JSP becomes a servlet. Let's see. First, it will has like first.jsp. Consider like that one example. It is translated into first.java, means whatever the contents, that is whatever the tags that is related to JSP tags, which can be it will be translated in the form of Java. Example, consider like that. For example, we'll take out.println for example. If these statements are in JSP format, it will translate it into Java format, means system.out.println, like that it will takes. Okay, after compiling, it generates class file. After load, it loads as finally first JSP servlet. Okay, so why JSP is preferred over servlets? So here the code for dynamic web pages, mainly it's responsible for dynamic web pages to you can develop easily, and it's not required to additional files like so class files or web.xml, like that classes files or whatever we created in a servlet, like web.xml and class files, we have to copy in and we have to paste in somewhere like that. That is not required. That is not required here in JSP. Okay, whatever the changes that is handled by the web container, it does not require any recompilation like that. Okay, wherever if any modifications is there, then it automatically it can able to access that. Okay, so and one more thing, JSP pages can be directly accessed, and web.xml mapping is not required like in a servlet. Okay, as you observed in when I am giving a small information about servlet, at that time I given a simple information about web.xml. Okay, when I am dealing with servlets form and form method, that is get and post method, at that time I given you about web.xml, which it contains servlet and servlet mapping URL pattern like that. Okay, that entire web.xml file is not necessary if you want to create JSP pages. Okay, let's see another thing, that is JSP page translation and processing phases. Okay, so here each JSP page is internally translated into equivalent servlet, as of course it is in Java, and then every JSP tag written in the page will be internally converted to equivalent Java code by a container. This process is called translation. Yeah, you will get 2 marks question like what is meant by translation, JSP translation. Converting of your JSP entire tags written in the page and internally converted to equivalent to Java code by the containers. That is the process of converting or changing, like translating into equivalent servlet. That is comes under you can call it as translation. Okay, but there are 2 types of or 2 phases occurs in JSP. 2 phases occurs. Okay, first one is translation phase, and the next one is request processing phase. Okay, so you will get a question like explain what is meant by translation. Second question, what are the 2 phases or there or occurs in JSP. Okay, or you will get a question like explain 2 phases in JSP, or you will get finally you will get one question, simple question like explain about translation phase or request processing phase. Okay, so you'll get like that questions. You can able to write these points. It's enough for you guys actually. Okay, so first one is a translation phase. Translation phase nothing but which are 2 phases, right? Translation phase nothing but it is a process of converting JSP to equivalent servlet and then generate it class file so of a servlet. Okay, that is called translation. Translate nothing but it converts, that's it. And what about request processing phase? So whatever the servlet file you process, already it is processed, right? So whatever the servlet it will generate, that entire thing process of executing the by using service method, it generates a response data to the browser. So processing of things can be done in this phase, request processing phase. So I'll show you in a diagrammatic way, then it's easy to understand how a JSP processing will starts. Okay, let's see one architecture, that is how JSP works or JSP processing. So you have to write this diagram, then only you will get marks for you. Okay, a simple thing, consider like a client is there, client is requesting like he created one file which it is named the hello.jsp and he is using get method. In a first step we'll have like by using get method he can able to request hello.jsp. It displays hello actually. Okay, and then in first step completed, it is requesting now a server with JSP container which it has like 2 phases. One is translation phase and request processing phase, right? And translation phase you will have like a converting of a hello.jsp, and that means whatever the tags that you created which it reads from a server with JSP container. In JSP container which it reads all the tags, and then this server with JSP container means a web server which it generates a .java file, that is called your servlet, I mean servlet file. Okay, up to that you'll have like a translation phase, and after compiling it generates a hello servlet.class file. Okay, hello servlet.class file, that is called a request processing phase. At that time if you execute the program, you will get the response can be sent by the JSP container by using HTTP get request, then in the form of response you will get hello. Okay, whatever the information you created from client side, the same thing you will get finally. Okay, in the middle of things, whatever the translation phase and request processing phase will be done by a web container which it has, that is which it has a JSP container there. Okay, let's see another concept. So when your first request is coming or modifying the JSP page, so first thing, in a brief section we'll see how this will work. Okay, so 1.jsp is a file which it is from the browser you are entering that, and then you are requesting that page with 1.jsp. At that time they will get a translation phase. 1.jsp tags will be translated into Java file, and then if you compile that, you will get a translation phase, right? In translation phase, compilation can be done and generates class file. And finally here requesting phase, which it has a object which it checks a service method, whether it is service method is there or not. If it is there, it gives a response back. Okay, from next request it generates maximally, it gives a response to you. Okay, whatever the parts just now here, when first request is coming or modifying JSP page, and this is from next request, you will get the same thing. Okay, and let's see what's the architecture of JSP or JSP engine. Okay, here all same thing. JSP will support some multiple different operating systems which it supports JSP, and the web server, that is Apache Tomcat server, which it has a JSP servlet engine, so which can able to compile or which can able to execute the JSP files. Okay, which stores all the files, all the related JSP programs in a web server itself, and it will connect a database, like you can use Oracle database or MySQL database or Mongo database, no problem. Whatever the different types of databases are there, which it will connects to that. Okay, so that is how architecture, JSP architecture will continues like that. Okay, and here normally which the web server needs a JSP engine, that is a container to process JSP pages. Here the JSP page, the JSP container is responsible for intercepting request of JSP pages. Okay, a JSP container works with a web server to provide the runtime environment and other services as JSP needs. Okay, it knows how to understand the special elements that are part of JSP. So this is the diagram. Based on this, you will get how that shows the position of JSP container and JSP files in web applications. Okay, and this is how the things in JSP architecture. Okay, thank you for watching.